Hello and welcome everyone back to Occult Perspectives. I'm going to try to keep in mind to speak up in my videos. I know some of you have trouble hearing the audio, and I do apologize for that. I don't have a microphone that I can use in conjunction with the phone, at least not yet. I'm not even sure exactly how that would work. So I'm going to try and keep the phone closer to me and just try to speak louder so that hopefully you don't have any problems hearing me. Something that you can try to do. I know my videos are particularly hard to listen to, especially in the car. If you're in a car, even if you plug it up to the Bluetooth, sometimes just the sound of the wheels on the road or whatever will block out my voice. And I've noticed that, like with Damien Eccles' videos too, his are pretty quiet for the most part. He doesn't have any fancy microphones or anything. He does use microphones a couple of times, though. I have seen some videos, so maybe at some point that's something I can do. Otherwise, I recommend you wait, until you're home and in a quiet place where there's not many other people around and you can listen to the videos in peace and quiet. And if you're able to play it up on a TV somewhere, that enables you to turn the volume up quite a bit, and then you should have no trouble hearing my videos. If you have YouTube on your television, or if you have an Xbox or something like that, you can download the YouTube app for free and put that on there. Probably any video game system at this point. This won't be a super long video, so I'm going to go ahead and jump right into it, maybe about 30 minutes or so. This is part 3 of the Gabriel series. So if you have not watched part 1 and 2, I recommend you go back and watch those, because this is simply a continuation of Archangel Gabriel part 1 and part 2. And this is part 3, so this should wrap up the series. So last time, I'll go ahead and read this over again real quick. This is from the Essay Reader channel, I believe. The Archangel Gabriel video on that he did. I believe it's a guy's channel, I would assume. Sometimes it sounds, if I remember right, there's a female voice on some of the videos, so I'm not entirely sure. The voice sounds almost kind of like robotic or something, like they're using some kind of program or something to just insert the audio into. I'm not sure though. The information's still great. Kind of wish they would do an Archangel Michael video, because I'm starting to write notes for Archangel Michael, and this Essay Reader channel has a lot of good lore on the Archangels. And I'm pretty sure in the last video I also went over all the ceremonial magic correspondences for Gabriel. So if you want those, go back to part 2 of the Gabriel series. If you want to continue on just the angelic lore of the Archangel Gabriel, then that's what we're going to cover in this video, the rest of that. So Gabriel originated from the lore of the Babylonians, I put a question mark, to the Ethiopians as well. He is known as Gabriel to the Muslims. I believe that's how it's pronounced. He has 140, described as having 140 pairs of wings, and he dictated the Quran to Muhammad. To the Persians, he is known as Sohud, is what it sounds like. Not sure what the spelling on that is. The Mighty Messenger and Punisher. The subtitles say Bahram or the Mighty Sorush, and that's kind of where I left off on the last video, so I just wanted to go ahead and read that. Oh wow, I hate it when it does that. I try to scroll down just a little bit with my arrow key and it takes me to the top of the document, which is actually all the way back to my Raphael notes that I had in the last couple of videos, or a few videos back. Oh, now I'm in the Michael videos. Okay, there we go. The Persian Magi would always tell the story of warning that on the Day of Judgment, the two angels Sorush and Mithra. Interesting, there's I don't know if this is an angel, I'm assuming it's an archangel named Mithra, because we know Mithraism is very similar to Masonry, and a lot of other, like the Lucinian mysteries, all of those. So Sorush and Mithra will stand on the bridge of Al-Sirat. Two angels, Gabriel and Metatron, will stand on the bridge of Al-Sirat. A bridge finer than a strand of hair and sharper than the edge of a sword. That's pretty fine. Finer than a strand of hair and sharper than the edge of a sword. There they will await the souls of the dead to examine every one of them crossing. Mithra and Metatron will hold the scale in their hands, and with it they shall weigh the deeds wrought by a soul during their lifetime. This could probably be equated with the Book of the Dead. It sounds very similar to when the heart of the person is put on the scales. It needs to be as light as a feather. Not filled with hatred and all of these things and the denser reality that's holding it down, keeping it from becoming liberated. That's why it's important to heal our hearts so our souls can be liberated. If found worthy, the soul is allowed paradise, and if unclean, they shall be passed on to the Sorush, the Punisher, ? Subtitles say that. Interesting. And then passed on to Gabriel, who actually cast them in hell. So Mithra and Metatron hold the scales. They weigh the deeds of a soul during their lifetime. If they're found worthy, the soul is allowed paradise, and if unclean, they shall be passed on to Sorush. And Gabriel will then cast them into hell. As we've talked about before, things like heaven and hell being realms of existence, and there's so many different degrees of existence. What is hell to one person might be heaven to another. These terms are often misleading, so sometimes it's metaphorical, and sometimes it's literal. We have both. We can either live heaven or hell here on earth, and I think that's a lot of what like Dante's Inferno is about, moving through Inferno, then through purgatory, and then into paradise. It's a state of mind, it's a state of consciousness. We're not actually traveling to other worlds per se, we're just moving through the spheres of our own being, of our own existence, and perceiving different levels of reality based on where our personal evolution is at. And that's where ceremonial magic and things of that nature come in, because they help us evolve and become more like the higher beings, more like the angels, higher vibration, able to see the whole picture. That's why the Holy Guardian Angel is important. It's our own higher self. Get a higher vantage point on all of this stuff. And I'm going to go ahead and recommend Curtis Joseph again. I really like his YouTube channel. He talks about the path of Cain and kind of more, I wouldn't even say it's left-hand ideology, because he said whether you go right, whether you go left, it's the same path. So it's kind of beyond the duality of those things. Yeah, it kind of has a darker, and when I say darker, that doesn't mean negative, The tradition that he's teaching, the way that he teaches seems to be very effective. I haven't delved into the details of his practices or anything like that, but I've watched a lot of his videos, and it doesn't matter. I don't really, each person has their own tradition, but what he teaches is important, and it's helped me. It's helped me on my own personal journey and with my own personal soul growth. So go check out Curtis Joseph. I recommend him. Super cool dude. So Gabriel has long flowing locks of gold hair, according to this video, beautiful face, so beautiful that it's more feminine in nature. We've already talked about the angels being androgynous anyway in prior videos. Hopefully these glasses are not glaring too badly. These are actually brand new glasses. I had my last pair for probably, at least 7 years, maybe even more. Something like that. I could be wrong, but that's about what it feels like. They definitely had scratches all over them and were getting bent. And I actually already did find one little scratch on these glasses. I hope it's not a scratch. Maybe it was just a piece of hair, but a really small scratch. But it's hard to avoid getting any. Probably need to get one of those scratch removal kits. Back to the video. Always getting distracted. when it comes to my ramblings. Long flowing locks of gold hair, beautiful face, more feminine in nature, carrying a trumpet, sword, or chalice in depictions. The angelic governor of the zodiac sign Aquarius, the water bearer, and is one of the 70 amulet angels invoked during childbirth. In the Talmud, called Sotah, Gabriel is said to be a genius of languages, for he taught Joseph 70 languages overnight. In the tradition of the Jews, she is one of the subordinate princes of death under Metatron. Very interesting. Presiding specifically over the lives of young adults. The angel also appearing to Shadrach. I wish they would have elaborated on that a little bit. Subordinate princes of death. So Gabriel's also overseeing death. Interesting, they didn't seem to really go into that. The angel also appearing to Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the burning furnace protected them from the merciless flames. That's another story about Gabriel that I didn't know about. She is the angel who punished the people of Sodom and Gomorrah, dealing death and destruction to their cities. The angel who also facilitated the coronation of Esther as queen by inspiring Queen Vashti's refusal to appear naked before King Ahasuerus and his guests. So Queen Vashti refused to appear naked before the king. Interesting. I don't know. I'm not familiar with that story, but I took those notes directly from that video. So SA Reader, Archangel Gabriel, if you want to check out the video for yourself. Although a proficient and prominent angel, her battle skills are neither as excellent as Michael or flawless as Metatron. Does not fare well against powerful opponents in combat, known to have been defeated more than once, both by the fellow angel Dobiel or Dabiel. Dubiel? I don't know. Almost sounds like Dobby. Yeah, that's what it makes me think of. Dabiel! And also the great Egyptian mages Janus and Jambres. Interesting. So not the Persian prince, which potentially may have also been a demon. We'll get into that later in the Archangel Michael videos. Lots of cool lore coming on that, by the way. It's not a big deal, though, because Gabriel is by nature not a warrior angel, and battlefields are not where Gabriel's primary duties lie. Oh, maybe the SA Reader notes start here. I'm not sure. My notes are kind of a mess, so I'm just going to continue. But SA Reader, and I think Myth and Mythology is the other one. Legends of History. I cite those two all the time, and I get those two mixed up because their style is so similar. But if you type in Archangel Gabriel, it should be one of the first videos that pops up on YouTube. Says that Gabriel could possibly be the highest ranking angel, but I hear that about Michael. I'm sorry. A lot of this stuff isn't super important, when it comes to magic and manifesting, change, transformation. God's left hand. Gabriel being God's left hand, Michael is God's right hand. Gabriel is the third oldest of the 5 angels. It'd be Lucifer, Michael, and then Gabriel. Gabriel took the form of a man and stood to the left of God. Gabriel and Michael are guardian angels of Israel, defending them against angels from other nations, whatever that means. The video says that Michael weighs the souls as well, but the task is more associated with Gabriel or Jabral. Jabral, as we said before, is the Islamic name of Gabriel. Informed Muslim prophets of their obligations. This is talking about Gabriel still. This video is primarily about Gabriel. We'll mention like Michael and some of the others from time to time. Gabriel informed Muslim prophets of their obligations. In Islam, Gabriel is the highest ranked angel, while Raphael is the second, actually, and is the third oldest. Lucifer, Michael, and then Gabriel, and then Raphael, I'm assuming, would be fourth, fourth created one. He was present during the battle of his father and Asaph, not sure, and assisted his brothers in their own battle against Adru Jihad. Wasn't really sure what it was talking about at that part. Gabriel was present during the battle of his father and Asaph. I remember even listening to the video and not really understanding the context of that little section, but we're going to continue. After successfully defeating Adru Jihad, Gabriel is battling Adru Jihad. Maybe that's Lucifer's brother? I don't know. Maybe it's a fallen angel. Oh well, we're going to keep going. After Gabriel successfully defeated Adru Jihad, his brothers proceed to stabilize the newly created universe before assisting further in its creation. According to Gabriel, he would impose form and matter on words when they were cold. Question mark? Yeah, because that didn't make much sense. And I was trying to read the subtitles on this video. As I said, it's kind of hard to read. You got to nitpick through it a little bit to get to the good stuff. Over time, Gabriel became an intermediary between a mythical god and angel. Under his mother's guidance, he would help direct the second-generation gods to their task when it came to imposing powerful embodiments of concepts, elements, emotions, and so on, and would ensure that there were no conflicts of any kind between them. So Gabriel was an intermediary between a mythical god and an angel, it says. And under his mother's guidance, that's actually come up in another one of these essay reader videos, is it talks about the wife of God, the mother of the angels. Super interesting. You don't hear about it too much, so I recommend you check that out too. This lore all kind of ties together. So under his mother's guidance, Gabriel helped direct the second generation gods to their task when it came to imposing powerful embodiments of concepts. So we're talking about creation, elements, emotions, and so on. And Gabriel would ensure that there were no conflicts of any kind between them so that this creation process could go on. The archangels' work is kind of this, they're like a computer consciousness. Computer's not really a good analogy, but Source uses them as a conduit, and they see the macrocosmic picture, so they affect things on a bigger scale, but they still work with humanity, especially if you're calling them forth in ceremonial magic and such to help evolve our race, to help bring us to that celestial paradise. For some, it's a return home. For others, it's a breakaway into a new kind of creation. So really, you could see it as two different kinds of things. That's kind of a deeper conversation, though. We won't really get into that just yet. Maybe another video. We have talked about that a little bit before with the left-hand path ideologies. Check out the Lucifer, Satan videos that I do, kind of delving into those topics a little deeper. The gods and the angels as both sides, both the angels and the gods were not happy to have to do the worship that they were about to do. I guess in the war in heaven, Gabriel is one of the main forces of the heavenly hosts against Lucifer's rebellious faction. So yeah, this is the angels. They didn't want to worship the humans either. They must, in the story, they side with Lucifer. During the war, Gabriel attempted to persuade his brother to go further into Empyrean to beg him to stop. Persuade Lucifer. Maybe he's persuading Lucifer to go further into Empyrean to beg him to stop. But seeing Lucifer's unwavering determination, he prepared to fight him, only to find himself embroiled in fighting Beelzebub and soon Mammon himself. It's cool that in this video they're putting, terms like the Empyrean in there. So they're getting a little more Kabbalistic and scientific with it rather than just it being total mythology, just fantasy, After a long battle, Gabriel was victorious against Beelzebub and Mammon, but is surprised to see the battle between Michael and Lucifer increase to such enormous proportions. After the formation of hell and the great change in the nature of existence, Gabriel's work truly begins. Gabriel himself says he has one of the more grueling tasks in heaven. He is one of the main ones charged with the bureaucracy. The documents he oversees decide where certain souls go. Records in heavenly departments and branches also regulate the creation of souls and so on. He humorously states that his position is similar to that of Earth's post office. And of course, we're using these analogies like documents and bureaucracy and records in heaven, departments and branches, because we don't have any other better word to describe it. A lot of these principles that are here on the material plane exist in other dimensions too, as above, so below, but their manner and form is different here because it's material, it's solid. But there has to be some kind of, even in the higher realms, there has to be some kind of organization of some kind. At some point after the fall of humanity and their thriving society across Earth, it was Gabriel who proposed that Rahab be the one to act as defender and mentor to the Hyperborean people, because he understood that Rahab had deep experiences and love for them. Hyperborean people, that's kind of an interesting term too. Sounds like more like some starseed stuff there. How much longer do I have? Not too much longer. I'm gonna try to get through this. Azrael, I think Azrael is a fallen angel. Azrael added, since she was their subordinate, she could also be their guide to the afterlife. Both Azrael and Gabriel's proposals were accepted by Michael and the Divine Council. Interesting. So Azrael and Gabriel put forth a proposal. Unfortunately, during Hyperboreus' old age, Gabriel is an archangel who descended from heaven with his host to conquer Rahab. Rahab tore apart the continent of Hyperborea, flooded most of the land, and even tore up most of it in sheer rage as she sensed the darkness of the enemy and would not let it fall under her hands and be tempted by her fork. I'm not sure. Not sure what that part of the video is really trying to say. As I said, essay reader, Archangel Gabriel. Tongue or touch perverted by Waihanda. Not sure what they were talking about in that part either. Let's continue. While fighting fiercely, he couldn't defeat Gabriel's strength. Instead of killing him, Gabriel took pity on the angel, so as punishment he would be imprisoned in his own territory with the creature who once swore to protect him. I'm totally confused as to what's going on anymore. So Gabriel proposes that Rahab be this defender because Rahab has love. Azrael added, since Gabriel is their subordinate, she would be the guide to the afterlife. They do a proposal accepted by Michael and the council, but during the Hyperborean's old age, Gabriel is an archangel who descended from heaven with its host to conquer Rahab. Rahab tore apart the continent. So Rahab's the evil, like an evil angel? Or just a human? I'm not sure. They don't really get into that. So I'm just going to keep continuing. Because these notes, even though I basically typed them out word for word, straight from the video, still don't make sense. So let's just get through the rest of this. And then we'll start on Archangel Michael next time. And my notes will be a lot more concise for Archangel Michael. I don't think it's going to be this much all over the place. There were a lot of notes for Gabriel. From there, Gabriel orders his host to slaughter the surrounding krakens that eat the Hyperboreans attempting to escape by sea, as he subdues Rahab himself. After that, he would use the corpses of the slain krakens to bind the angels who had now fallen into the depths of the ocean, making chains for their entrails. Slayer of the Nephilim. So, okay, this is talking about Gabriel in the book of Enoch slaying the Nephilim. So now this all comes into a little more context. This makes a little more sense. After seeing the devastation caused by the Nephilim from the actions of the Watchers, Gabriel was tasked by God to destroy the Nephilim. We kind of got into this in the last video, so we'll recap real quick. He does this by turning the Nephilim against one another, leading the bastard spawns of the Watchers to slaughter each other. As we mentioned before, rather than to have his hands be covered in blood, it might be through this that Gabriel refrained from bloodshed entirely, wanting to maintain his image as a messenger, as he simply tells the Nephilim to destroy each other. After the flood and subsiding, God repaired the air and conjured a rainbow as a promise to never again destroy the earth. Wonder if the rainbow has any connection with the rainbow serpent. Just wanted to throw that in there real quick. During his time on earth, Gabriel and several other angels aided the gods in repairing their temples after their destruction from the flood. At some point later on, he had a relationship with Athena, the goddess of wisdom. I thought this was interesting, that Archangel Gabriel had a relationship with Athena, the goddess of wisdom, but due to Gabriel's heavily occupied schedule, they had little time together and their relationship was on and off. Wow. So as you see, this is more, just more getting into myth and mythology rather than lore, or rather than pure information about the archetypal force which Gabriel represents, which Gabriel is, invoked during ceremonial magic. But a lot of this lore is interesting, and an understanding of even the characters of the angels, you're going to have more of a personal connection with them. So I think all of this stuff is interesting to some degree. So Athena, the goddess of wisdom, but due to Gabriel's heavily occupied schedule, they had little time together and their relationship was on and off. Regardless, they harbored great feelings for each other. The vision with the ram, or the horn, which we talked about before, he says a fearsome king will arise, causing astounding devastation, and will succeed in whatever he does. This is Gabriel telling, Daniel, I'm pretty sure. We mentioned before. This almost sounds like the Zelda prophecy. Like they say a fearsome king will come and rule the land. Zelda has that dream. That's what it is in the Ocarina of Time. Check out my Zelda Ocarina of Time videos if you have not already. He will destroy Jerusalem, make deceit prosper, and will consider himself godly. He will then soon take his stand against what Gabriel calls the Prince of Princes. I'm assuming Jesus, only to be destroyed in the end. Also goes on to say that when Daniel was praying to God to not destroy the city due to sin, due to being highly esteemed, his prayer was answered. So the people alongside Gabriel or the man in linen are said to be 6 destroyer angels, potentially. At the time of the man in linen, Gabriel describes this part of his life as one of the more darker moments. Oh, I put in question marks. I'm assuming at the time of, when he was the man in linen. We talked about that before. This was one of the more darker moments for Gabriel, since he was sullen, miserable, and bitter due to Lucifer's imprisonment and his mother's leave of absence. Interesting. Virgin Mary, the Holy Spirit will enter her womb and form the child inside her. I've talked about that a little bit before, about that being a whole magical ritual, the birth of Jesus. If we're going to take, Jesus, that story being literal, we know that comes from so many earlier stories, solar deity stories. But still, there are rituals, I think, which can definitely work wonders, and it makes you wonder if the Archangel Gabriel was involved in some kind of super person. I'm not totally putting that out of the question. Maybe it's supposed to be more metaphorical, but either way. Of all the angels, Gabriel loved humans the most and spent most of his time living among them. After the fall of Lucifer, in the absence of God, Gabriel makes his abode on earth seem permanent. He would secretly protect the humans he lived with whenever they were threatened, but while Gabriel loved humans, he would put them in their place if they disrespected him or acted arrogantly. In his human form, he is easygoing, cheerful, humble, and eccentric. However, he shows a sly and serious side that deceives when the situation permits. Unlike his brothers, Gabriel is actually sarcastic and funny when he needs to be. making her the most human of the angels. Of course, even though she resides on earth, she still follows her Father's orders when given, God's orders. There is still a hierarchy of command, But what it is it's really just higher and higher perspectives of ourselves, which are in these other archetypal forces, which are archangels, and then that comes from even higher archetypal ideas and more, I guess you could say, primal source energy, raw, original, pure source. And then the Ein, which is all potential energy, because even in the smallest bit of potential energy exists more than all the manifested energy. I think that's so wild. Quantum physics is really, and spirituality, those two worlds are really coming together right now. As the third oldest of the archangels, Gabriel is very powerful, we said before, but combat is not really what she's set out to do. Third in power below Lucifer, Michael, and then Gabriel. Above the rest, above the likes of Raphael and Uriel, who are powerful in their own right. Gabriel's battle prowess was shown when she confronted Beelzebub, second in command of Lucifer's army, and Mammon, which resulted in Gabriel defeating them both. During her stay on Earth, Gabriel walked among humans and other supernatural beings undetected for many years, even with individuals like the sons of Sparta. I don't know if that has any connection. Probably not with like the movie 300 and those Spartans. I'm going to assume they're talking about a different Sparta. And werewolves and others completely unaware of her identity despite their highly advanced sense of perception. So these other basically high beings could not detect Gabriel. Gabriel walked among humans and other supernatural beings undetected for many years. Gabriel could have destroyed the Nephilim, of course, but decided not to. Had them destroy each other instead. He also destroyed Ronnie Sciato, a complete homunculus. And I forget the actual definition of homunculus, but it's basically like this almost like artificial, like it's like a living thing that you kind of create, but you can control it too, like a golem or something like that. Those are similar. Yeah, if you watch Full Metal Alchemist, they get into like the homunculi and stuff. I need to watch that again. It's been so long. A complete homunculus held sway over the fabric of space and time with a casual touch. Much later in the modern age, Gabriel confronted Lucifer during the apocalypse and engaged in fierce combat against his fallen brother. Gabriel held out quite well during the Battle of Lucifer, despite Lucifer being more powerful, with Lucifer even showing small signs of struggle, though Gabriel was defeated in the end. And then we know that Michael took up the battle from there. During the Gregorian invasion, or the Gregory invasion, Gabriel fought and bested 3 of the fallen Watchers. The Watchers were doubtful they could defeat Gabriel, showing how powerful that the archangels were, or how powerful the archangels are. When the Scarlet King was freed and rampaged across creation towards the Tree of Life, Gabriel joined his siblings in the fight against the fallen Sentinel. So the Scarlet King was a force that once worked for creation and now it's running rampant towards the Tree of Life. Gabriel joined in the fight against this fallen Sentinel. Gabriel was able to lay several strikes against the Scarlet King before being overwhelmed. They don't really go into any detail of what the Scarlet King is exactly. Now, I've heard of the Scarlet Woman. Pearly white color. Gabriel is of a pearly white color. Some see as masculine, others as feminine. We've reiterated this point many, many, many times now. Okay, this is that Christina girl. I must have taken a few notes from her video as well. She actually sees Gabriel as male. I prefer to see the energy as feminine, but I definitely did see it more as a masculine energy in the beginning, but I think because it's archetypally feminine, it's more powerful for me to imagine it that way. Throat chakra, blue, speaking your truth. Gabriel can help with that. Speaking your soul's truth helps with your creative outlets, anything you're creating, music, art, etc., forms of your creation and expressing truth. And Gabriel is really good for arguments with loved ones, etc. So invoke Gabriel for those kinds of things, bringing calmness to the emotions, to the water. The raging sea, bring peace and tranquility like a calm river, or, even flow. Gabriel is really good for arguments, helps to have arguments be accomplished in the light of divine love, rather than it being about hate. Have it be about figuring things out and the light illuminating that which needs to be illuminated. Ask her to support the energy of this interaction or communication, if you're invoking her for those purposes. Send a genuine prayer or invocation. I sometimes like to do those little invocations even before like one of these videos. I've done them a couple times. I've done a little Raziel, prayer, meditation, and usually there's, depending on how long you allow yourself to go into the prayer or the trance, or if it's just a short prayer, you'll usually still have a very profound internal experience. But the longer you allow yourself to be at ease and peace in the meditation, basically in the meditation states, you'll encounter these forces in a very profound and beautiful way. The harder you work on this stuff, the ceremonial magic and whatever your practices are. So, okay, I'm going to go ahead and end this video. That is it for Archangel Gabriel, or Gabriel, however you want to say it. We will get into, I believe, the pronunciation that Donald Michael Craig, I wonder if I think we read it before. It's more like Gabriel, or Gabriel with a accent at the end. But anyway, yep, I'm going to go ahead and be quiet now. I hope you all are doing well. I know things have been pretty crazy lately, but I feel the tides turning. Things are going to calm down. It's a time to grow, get that solid foundation, grow strong again, and we can work outwards from there and do the great work. I'm Tyler Smith. I'm your host on this channel, Occult Perspectives. I don't really consider myself per se a guru or a teacher. I'm just a person who's had some experiences. I've learned a lot of this information and picked up a lot of different things along the way, and want to share them, share my viewpoints on this channel. And that's pretty much what this is about, so that you're the important one, so that you can go out and have your own journey, your own unique experience, and take what I teach you, and hopefully some of it goes to heart, and we can go forth in this new aeon of peace, love, and prosperity with the best of intentions. So peace and love, everyone. Take care, and until next time, which is hopefully sooner rather than later.